Hello everyone, welcome to the class on chemotherapy 6. In this video, I am going to explain about fluoroquinolones, metronidazole, urinary tract antiseptics, cell membrane disruptors, and finally I will give you a snapshot of all antibacterials, which is very important. So please watch till the end. This is my channel and this is my channel credential. Let us move on. Now the first one, fluoroquinolones. In fluoroquinolones you have ciprofloxacin, gatifloxacin, gemifloxacin, levofloxacin, moxifloxacin and norfloxacin are there. Now all of them quinolones are bactericidal inhibitors. Now how do they act is they inhibit DNA gyrase enzyme of bacteria. DNA gyrase is also known as DNA topoisomerase. Now the function of topoisomerase is it will relieve the strain that is present in DNA. So the bacterial DNA strain is relieved by this enzyme. If this enzyme is inhibited, bacteria undergo fragmentation and that results in death, hence they are known as bactericidal inhibitors. They will inhibit bacterial gyrase or topoisomerase and prevent DNA unwinding. Now this is the common structure of, give me a second. Now, this is the common structure of all fluoroquinolones. Now, the structure which is depicted in red is known as pharmacophore. This is carboxy-4-pyridone. Now, see, this is first position. At fourth position, you have a ketone group is there. So, it is known as carboxy-4-pyridone. Now, see, all these things are essential to show its activity. In fact, the DNA gyrase, that enzyme, is bound at this junction. So these groups are essential to bind with that enzyme, and if this double bond is required, if it is saturated, the binding ability with enzyme decreases. Again, there should be no substitution on the second position. If substitution is there, it reduces the binding ability with the enzyme. So this part is essential to show activity, hence it is known as pharmacophore. Now leaving that, see, all other substitution will increase cell wall penetration or spectrum of activity. Mostly at this sixth position, a fluorine is substituted, hence they are known as fluoroquinolones. Substitution at R position also increases potency. This is a general SAR pattern of fluoroquinolones. Now, see, there is a general drug interaction with cations are there. Now, why this happens is you can see there are two adjacently positioned oxygens are there with electrons. So when you have a multivalent cation, it may chelate with these negative charges because the cations has got positive charge. This kind of interactions we have seen with tetracyclines too. In tetracyclines also you have this kind of structural pattern is there. So they may interact with cations and reduces absorption. The side effects are neurological adverse effects, tendonitis and tendon rupture, photosensitivity. So because they are causing tendon rupture and everything, they should be avoided in pregnant women and children. In children, the bone growth is there, and for that, if they get this tendonitis, the bone growth will get affected. Hence, they should be avoided in children as well as pregnant women. Now, the drugs are classified according to the spectrum of activity. When you go down, the spectrum of activity increases. In the first generation, you have norfloxacillin, lomifloxacillin are there. They are narrow spectrum and they are effective mainly against gram-negative. Whereas in second generation, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, third, levofloxacin, gatifloxacin, when you go down this generation, gram-positive activity increases. The fourth generation one are broadest spectrum active drugs. So the generations are based on spectrum of activity. So this is the structure of norfloxacin and ciprofloxacin. Just now we have seen the SAR patterns. This ring has to be intact. Carboxy-4-pyridone. This has to be intact, and a fluorine substitution enhances permeability, and heterocyclic rings and R substitution also enhances the activity of the drug. At R position, if you have ethyl, this is a carbon ring. So ethyl, this becomes norfloxacin. If you have a cyclopropyl ring, it becomes ciprofloxacin. So this is what is about the structures. Now moving to side effects, as I told you already, tendonitis, tendon rupture is a major problem. Phototoxicity and rashes are there. CNS effects are there. They are contraindicated in pregnant women and children because they inhibit chondrogenesis. This is what is resulting in tendonitis and bone growth will not be there. So this is about fluoroquinolones. And fluoroquinolones, the major uses are, they are used to treat urinary tract infection. The major use of fluoroquinolones is it is used to treat urinary tract infection. Along with that, it is also used to treat respiratory tract infection and sexually transmitted diseases. But nowadays the major use is restricted to urinary tract infections. You need to take care of this side effects too. Now another important thing with fluoroquinolone is all of them has got long post-antibacterial effect. In the last lecture also I have explained about post-antibacterial effect. Even though the effective concentration in plasma is reduced, still they show antibiotic effect, that is known as post-antibiotic effect. This is shown by streptogramins and aminoglycosides, and the third one is fluoroquinolones. So all the three will show post-antibiotic effect. Moving to the next one, there is one more unclassified antibiotic is there, metronidazole. Again, see, metronidazole in anaerobes it is converted to free radicals by ferredoxin that binds DNA and causes DNA fragmentation. This is also bactericidal. If you remember, fluoroquinolones, metronidazole, both of them will be acting on DNA and they cause bacterial death, hence they are considered as bactericidal. Now, metronidazole is also effective against anti-protozoal like Giardia, Trichomonas and Entamoeba histolytica. And it has also got antibacterial activity, and it has got strong activity against anaerobic gram-negative organisms and Clostridium species. In fact, it is the drug of choice in pseudomembranous colitis. It is also used to treat Helicobacter pylori, which may cause ulcers, peptic ulcers. So it has got anti-protozoal as well as antibacterial activity. The major side effects are metabolic taste and disulfiram-like effect. If you remember, disulfiram is alcohol deterrent. To avoid alcohol, to control that alcohol addiction, disulfiram is given. So it will have this kind of activity. Now this is the structure of metronidazole. You can see it is imidazole ring and a nitro substitution is there. When the R group is OH, it becomes metronidazole. For all these drugs, you need to know what is this heterocyclic ring is. In GPAT, there are some questions which are related to the heterocyclic ring. Moving further. Now, the next, there are certain urinary agents or there are urinary antiseptics. Let us see one by one. Methenamine. This is what is the structure of methenamine. Now, methenamine at acidic pH, that means in the urinary pH which is acidic, it releases formaldehyde, and this formaldehyde will show antiseptic activity. It is used to treat cystitis, inflammation of bladder. All of them are urinary agents because the effective concentration reaches at urinary tract. That means at that acidic pH, all of them will get activated and show their activities. Next one is nitrofurantine. This is also used to treat cystitis and cystitis prophylaxis. Nitrofurantine structure is this one. You have nitrofuran ring, and this one is imidazolidine. Imidazole is unsaturated. This one is saturated ring. Imidazolidine dione. Two keto groups are there. Now, the heterocyclic rings were asked in GPAT 2020 examination. What are the heterocyclic rings that present in nitrofurantine? So you need to know these heterocyclic rings. Now the next one, phosphomycin, we have seen about already about this thing. This is a cell wall inhibitor. It interferes with the cell wall formation of the bacteria, and this is also used to treat cystitis. So these agents are urinary agents. Moving further, now cell membrane disruptors are there. Now we have seen cell wall inhibitors, protein synthesis inhibitors. The next group, this one is cell membrane disruptors. Telavancin, dalbavancin, oritavancin. All the three are derivatives of vancomycin. If you remember, vancomycin is a cell wall inhibitor. Now, these three drugs, they also inhibit cell wall as well as cell membrane too. They have dual action, cell membrane inhibitor as well as cell wall inhibitors. And they are mostly used to treat skin and soft tissue infections. All of them chemically, they are considered as lipoglycopeptides. Lipoglycopeptides. Vancomycin is a glycopeptide, but these are lipoglycopeptides. And the major adverse effect for all these drugs is nephrotoxicity. Nephrotoxicity. Now, the next one is, there is another drug called as daptomycin. This is a lipopeptide. Lipopeptide, this is also has got this will inhibit the cell membrane and causes cell membrane disruption. The major uses are skin and soft tissue infection to treat staphylococcal and streptococcal bacteremia, vancomycin resistant enterococcal infection. See, daptomycin is very important in certain cases, like there are certain species like methicillin resistant staphylococcus aureus and vancomycin resistant staphylococcus aureus. In this case, no penicillin, no beta-lactam works. In this case, penicillins, vancomycin also do not work here. To treat them, the choice of drugs are streptogramins and linezolid. If these two are not working, then the final drug which is used is daptomycin. This is what is the importance and significance of daptomycin. Again, daptomycin has got very limited side effects like myopathy. So these are about cell membrane disruptors. Even one more group is there, polymyxins. They are also cell membrane disrupting agents. Colistin is known as polymyxin E and then polymyxin B. Now see, colistin mostly it is used to treat serious infections caused by multi-drug resistant gram-negative organism. This is a very important drug which can be used to treat multi-drug resistant infections. Again, it will prevent cystic fibrosis exacerbations. It can be taken in the inhaled form. Polymyxin B, again, multi-drug resistant infections and topical treatment also. So these are very important polymyxins. Now they have got limited adverse effects, and you can see the significance is multi-drug resistant infections can be treated with these drugs. Moving further, now see, this is the big list of all antibacterial agent. Understand them. Let us go through slowly. See, you have two groups that are bacteriostatic, bactericidal. In bactericidal protein synthesis inhibitors, only aminoglycosides, streptogramins can cause bactericidal effect. All other protein synthesis inhibitors are bacteriostatic. Remember these two important because they cause bacterial cell death. Now after that, there are drugs which are affecting DNA like fluoroquinolones, metronidazole. They will affect DNA and they will cause bacterial cell death. Nitrofuran and novobiazine also act on DNA, but they will not cause cell death. They are only bacteriostatic in nature. Now polypeptide, just now we have seen polymyxin B, colistin, amphotericin. These three, even though they are cell membrane disruptor, they will cause cell death. So they are bactericidal in nature. Now the antimetabolites like sulfonamide, dapsone, paraminosalicic acid, trimethoprim, ethambutol, all of them will be acting as antimetabolites. They act in the metabolism of the bacteria, but they will not cause death. Sulfonamides, they act against bacterial infections. Dapsone is used to treat leprosy. Paraminosalicic acid, ethambutol are effective against TB organism. Trimethoprim, bacteria. Now cell wall inhibitors, all of them are, they will cause bacterial cell death. Phosphomycin, cycloserine, bacitracin, vancomycin, all of them. The remaining things are beta-lactam antibiotics. Now the last one is which are working against TB organism. So this is a good list of agents which will categorized into bacteriostatic and bactericidal agents. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, do subscribe.